If you are burnt out and struggling, I need you to know that you don't hate your job. You hate who you've had to become just to survive it. The meetings that go nowhere, the inbox you dread opening, the Sunday scaries that now start Saturday morning. It's just causing you to feel drained, checked out, and you're faking your enthusiasm just to keep your paycheck. This video might be the most important thing for you to watch if this all resonates and describes you. Because burnout doesn't always look like a breakdown. Sometimes it looks like quiet compliance or an identity crisis in business casual. Look, I have been there. I took 2 years out of the workforce, which was one of the greatest and worst decisions I ever made. And I have led tech turnarounds while being completely running on fumes. And you know what I learned at the end of the day of all of this? Burnout isn't the end. It's a message. It's a symptom. It's a signal. And it's one that if you listen, you can actually pinpoint where you are struggling and how to create an energized version of your career that you've never had. And so today, I want to break down why burnout isn't about being weak, but it's about being misaligned. 3 moves that you can make today, instantly, to start your recovery, and how to use AI, strategy, and self awareness to turn this low point of burnout into probably your most powerful career pivot and next steps. And so, first, I want to ask you, what's the one part of your day that you just feel like destroys your battery energy and it just feels like thievery? I want you to comment that down below. I want to start a conversation, see if I can help respond and help you take away more specific tactics for your situation. I will respond to every single comment. Check the track record every time. Leave it down below. Okay. First thing is, what is the real root cause of burnout? People often think it's about workload. I promise you it's not. From my perspective, as someone who, it's funny, I mentioned I took those 2 years off. On both sides of those 2 years, I don't know what my average work week would be, but I could definitely tell you before that, probably close to 80 hours, at least 70 as an average. And that would have been for about 9 years or so, 8 to 9 years. On the after the 2 year gap, I've worked more. I've probably averaged closer to 80, 90, or even 100. Okay. And that's been going on 6 years. Okay. So it is absolutely possible to sustain what people consider unsustainable. The root cause of the burnout is going to be misaligned values, mismatched role demands, or energy drain from just meaningless nonsense. Okay. It's a misalignment issue. Your work doesn't fire you up anymore. It's not aligned with where you want to go. Your rewards aren't coming at the rate that you think that they should be, and there's a misalignment there. And sometimes there's a misalignment of reality because there's a misalignment of who you are and what you're capable of. So really, to determine the root cause of this is I need you to just critically think about everything. Like, I really want to tell you about one of my clients who was a part of the federal government. And we all know all the different layoffs and shifts that have been happening there. And she was a mid-level project manager, about 5-7 years in the role. On paper, kicked ass, right? I mean, she had a great salary. She worked fully remote up until this year, had a smart team, all those things. But when, she reached out to me, she was just exhausted. She felt like she didn't have time for her spouse. She really felt like she was not giving her best self to her children. And it just was overall physically, emotionally, mentally, all of it was just like numb and not present. And so in our initial conversation, it was a lot about discovery. It definitely took an additional coaching session, some personality assessment, things of that nature. But really what became clear is she was driven and she really liked her line of work. The struggle was on the value side of the equation. What is one of the biggest problems we see as the government that everybody says? It's red tape. It's almost micromanaging. There's a lack of creativity because it's not this profit-driven innovation center, things of that nature. And those were the root cause. When we really boiled down what she needed and what she valued autonomy, creativity, and like strategic thinking, taking her PM role, which is a micro strategy type of role, but turning it into macro strategy of much, much more operations and streamlining and growth. Okay. And so she just felt like her entire day and existence was around like these low stakes task management project grooming, coordination, communication with stakeholder nonsense. And it drained the shit out of her. Okay. And so this really was that burnout wasn't from failure, it was from this. So the first thing that we did to kind of sum it up, and then we'll kind of get into our specific tactics that I really want to review with you, was perspective, right? When someone gets this type of perspective, when you really figure out why am I struggling and burnt out, and you pinpoint it, that alone, I promise you, will resolve a noticeable chunk of your burnout because you're like, oh shit, this is solvable. Like, this is something I can do, right? Where when you feel like it's like your employer's fault, or that you just work in a soulless environment, or you have, this terrible situation, and it's also vague, you feel like you can't do anything about it. You feel trapped. You feel stuck. You feel unable to move. That is what this initially solves. Do a deep analysis of critically analyzing what it is that you do, what parts of your day drain you, why does that drain you, and what do you need just from a mentality, personality perspective to be successful. Ignore the professional specifics. Then get professional specific and figure out what your next steps are. Okay. And this is all to say, again, I will reiterate that burnout isn't about workload and it's not about weakness. It's a misalignment between your identity and your environment. Again, whether this is the work that you are doing, the people you are working with, the specific tasks, the compensation or other form of rewards, whatever it might be. And it's a body and mind rebellion against the outside world that you have built for yourself. Okay. So I know I asked you to comment down below what the one part of your day that feels like the energy is just being drained from, like, out of you for all of it. This is why I gave that as your first exercise, is because ironically, that's the first step to solving your problem. Okay. So I need you to answer that question. Begin there. And if you don't know, then I want you to be mindful of keeping track of it across 2 days and say, all right, the next thing that I realize that is just draining the life force out of me, I'm going to take note of it. That's fine. You may not have an answer to that question, but figure it out today watching this video. Do not sit idly by after watching this video. Otherwise, you have learned nothing. Okay. Now that we kind of have a little bit of root cause, I want you to begin to reframe burnout as a signal, not a setback. Okay. So this is the biggest thing, is that burnout a lot of times feels helpless or hopeless, like I mentioned before, right? Ironically, though, burnout is your friend. That's what I want you to understand, is when you start to feel the symptoms of burnout, that should signal to you like, oh shit, something's wrong. My body is trying to help me. My mind is trying to help me. My heart is trying to help me. Burnout is a symptom, and it is a positive symptom. I'm not saying positive in a sense of just like, oh, I'm going to power through and muster up. Like, sometimes that might be what's needed, actually, right? Like, because your body does want comfort and it does want to retain safety. Okay. So that might be your default reaction, but that's not the positive I'm talking about. I'm talking about positive in terms of, like, it's just like anything else. Like, if your wrist hurts, then you're probably not likely to sit there and go try to bench press your max at the gym. You're going to take it as a positive feedback signal and be like, oh, I need to do a different workout today, and I'm doing something wrong with my wrist. Let me figure out what I'm doing wrong. Let me figure out how to keep working out and go from there. Okay. The problem is most people just treat burnout like they failed. Like, they feel like it's a judgment on them. It's just like any other symptom you experience. Like I mentioned, wrist pain, stomach upset, loss of vision, right? Loss of taste. I'm just pulling out symptoms of stuff, right? Like, each one of these tells you something is wrong with your body and something you are doing. That's all burnout is. Okay. The second thing that people do that I want you to refuse to do, make the agreement right now, virtually shake my hand, that you will never ignore these signals again, and that you will not catastrophize on it. Okay. That's what I need you to do. So we've determined our analysis. We've now shifted our perspective that burnout is our friend. It is positive, and it is a signal, and it is telling me something. Okay. I want to reiterate the 3 common burnout triggers that I see in that probably encompass 90+% of the people I work with on this. Misaligned work, meaning tasks that don't align with your values or identity anymore. You're growing, but your job is not. 2, unclear boundaries. You're always on call. You're always responding to Slack, email, or etc. or you have a chronic lack of recovery. I'm a huge proponent of hustle culture. And not in the bad sense, but I definitely think you should be getting after it. I don't care what stage of career you're at, right? Unless you are like, okay, ready to retire and phoning it in, even then, I would just say go retire and open up the door for somebody else. Okay. But as much as I am all for like solid 12 to 16-hour days, recover. A recovery and rest plan is arguably more important than your hustle plan. All right. Please, 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 please recover. Third one, achievement addiction. You've linked your self-worth to output, titles, money, etc. But so now when you succeed, you honestly don't even feel it. You might get like a half a second rush of like, oh, sweet, I got promoted. Woo, let's go out and celebrate. And the next day you're like, I feel the same. Okay. So this is why it's important to understand the signals and symptoms, define the root cause, and also be aware of these common triggers. Because again, it rarely, if ever, has to do with the amount of work that you are doing. How many of you right now are burnt out just doing your 40 hours a week or less? That is proof in the pudding that it is not quantity of work, it is quality of work. What I want you to do and ask yourself, are you experiencing any of these three right now? Misaligned work, unclear boundaries, achievement addiction. Be honest. If you are not honest in this with yourself, I don't care if you're honest with me, but if you're not honest with yourself, then nothing is going to change. Nobody can help you, and you will forever stay the same. Okay. Now that we've reframed it, let's pull you back in and get some power. Okay. So I want you to build off the momentum of that reframe as a strategic signal and as your friend. And then instead of spiraling or blaming yourself or blaming the company or blaming the government, or I don't care, never, ever, ever blame the outside. I'm going to quote Alex Hormozy here: where you place the blame finger is where the power goes. Always the blame finger right here. Okay. And ask yourself, what's out of alignment? What have I outgrown? And what is the pain pointing you towards? Okay. This is how you begin to now dive deeper into that analysis, that you have your root cause, it's reframed as your friend, and now you're getting specific about what needs to change. If something is out of alignment, then maybe you need to look at a different career, maybe you need to look at a different company, maybe you need to look at some other change. What have you outgrown? Maybe you're promotion ready, maybe there's something else. Okay? Take all this information, and I want you to either follow if you already have it, or if not, then use this, the Burn Diagnostic, BURN, for burnout. I couldn't have made it simpler for you. Okay. B is break the pattern, create space to reflect, give yourself a 15-minute meditation session. Go walk up and down your driveway. If you live in an apartment, walk up and down the stairs for a few. Just get away from whatever the nonsense is at work, at home, etc., that is just preventing you from getting your thinking. Break the pattern, create some space. You understand the misalignment. Which of the three triggers is active in your life? Or are all three? That's completely fine too. It can be a mismatch. It doesn't have to be one. But you will have to pick one to solve it first. Okay? R, reclaim your boundaries. Immediately perform friction reduction. You're on call 24/7. Go on call 27. Right? Like, just pick something that is a reduction in the friction that is overall causing you the level of anxiety. There's immediate stuff that you can do. It could be Pomodoro cycles. Again, it could be just setting the boundaries of when you're available. Something that I actually, really like is maybe you're responding to emails and things of that nature, but you don't want to encourage others to do it. Then maybe put something, kind of in the email like, hey, I'm just sending this out before it leaves my brain. Don't feel like you have to respond. Something of that nature. But set your boundaries, reclaim them, stick to them. And then N is going to be navigate to next steps. Don't rush. Observe first. We want you to have the information through this whole diagnostic to know that the next step you take towards progress is actually going to be progress and isn't just going to be suffering from shiny object syndrome or recency bias from the first idea that you had. Okay? This right here is going to be where most people either numb out or rage quit. Okay? But we're not going to do that. We're going to take burnout. We're going to make it work for us, start the recovery and the rebuilding. I now want to talk with you strategy, because from all of the 15 minutes we have thus far, you should begin or already have identified what it is your problem. Okay? So, quick win number 1 that I want to give you. I want you to drop 10% of your non-emotional commitments. And this is going to be to declutter your energy. All right? Burnout thrives in chaos. Again, because it's not necessarily about the amount of work, it's about the constant switching and the misalignment and the inability to achieve and the inability to move forward. Okay? Clarity is subtraction. Okay? This is solution 1. Remove from your life. Simplify your scope. Your life will come and go in seasons. There will be seasons where you put on a little bit of weight because you can't hit the gym as hard. And then other things are going to be more coasting. And then you get more time to go back to the gym. And then you're going to look how you want. And it's going to be this push and pull. And that's how life is. Because guess what? You got 70 some odd years to live. Okay? You're not going to be able to hit everything hard every single day. Okay? So I want you to first list out all of your reoccurring weekly tasks, meetings, including invisible things like responding on Slack, or inbox management, optional Zooms, family obligations, social favors, working out, eating well, taking supplements, meditation, all of it. There's no categorization of good or bad. What is everything? If you don't know what these things are, or you feel like even after you've done this exercise, you have gaps, then I want you to time study yourself. I want you over the next week to literally have either notepad, a spreadsheet, something where you notate a quick one-liner of what you do every 15 minutes. I want you to literally take your phone. I want you to set a 15-minute reminder and say, go. And then in 15 minutes, when that's up, then go to your Word document or whatever you're typing in. Here's what I did over the last 15 minutes. Boom, 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 boom. Do that for a week. Then what I want you to do is take either your self-output, your time study, whatever it is, go to Claude, ChatGPT, or some AI tool and say, hey, I need you to review the following list of weekly tasks I'm doing. Identify the bottom 10 to 20% that could be eliminated, delegated, or paused without major consequence. Pick one thing to eliminate and say no to it this week. Boom. Start there. Okay, but you should have an identified list now of 10 to 20% of your time that you can get back. And maybe it's something that involves somebody else. So this is where you could follow up then and use AI and say, hey, draft me a polite pause message about this task with this person. Boom. Okay. Win number 2, reclaim 2 hours this week for joy, stillness, woosah. Don't care what you call it. Okay. But you can't recover in the same space that broke you. So we just audited our past week. We just audited 1 week's worth of stuff and we figured out what you can take away. Okay. Now we're going to remove that. Now that you have that time back, I want you to fill those time blocks again. But I want you to fill them with recovery sessions, whether this be walking, drawing, reading, learning something new, something that is for you. Okay. For me, I like to walk. I like breath work, meditation, things of that nature. Do that. Okay. So this way we're not filling the time back with something that's going to drain you more. It's whatever for you gets you jazzed up and recovered. What refills your cup? Okay. And this is where, again, you can leverage AI. If you're like, hey, I want to spend 2 hours recovering from this burnout, but I feel guilty or anxious, or I'm not sure what to fill it with, right? Can you create for me, a 5-step mindset reset? Or can you help give me activities based off of who I am, right? And then kind of tell a little bit about who you are and what you like to do. Okay. This is how you begin to now build in that recovery exercise in your 16-hour day. Okay. Quick win number 3. I want you to use AI to reduce your mental load, not to add to it. If you've already noticed, we've already used AI in both of our quick wins. It's a tool. It's an asset. Okay. So most people are using AI to do more, right? But I actually want you to use it to reduce your actual mental load, not your output load. Okay. So I want you to pick one area that causes mental drain for you. So before we pick tasks and things you're doing, now I want it to be things you're thinking, task prioritization, writing updates, prepping for a meeting, whatever it might be. Okay. So now we've moved away from the tasks that you do every week into the brain activities you do every week. I then want you to then go to Claude, ChatGPT, Grok, whatever, and say, here's a messy, mentally taxing list of things I do. Can you prioritize it based off of impact and urgency and suggest what can be delegated, automated, or dropped? Again, this is where AI is helping us to brainstorm what can we remove or what can it do for us. Okay, that is what we are looking for here. Those are your 3 super quick building immediate wins. But it all starts with number 1, which is auditing and understanding and getting your list of weekly reoccurring tasks, meetings, and thought processes. Do that either out off the top of your head, and if you feel it's comprehensive enough, move forward. And if it's not, then I want you to do a time study, then move forward with win number 2 of reclaiming those 2 hours. And number 3, using AI to reduce your mental load. Okay? That is going to be our absolute key here. As you can see, this isn't about productivity hacking. It's about energy restoration hacking. You're not trying to fix everything in 1 week. You're building and stacking a system so that your clarity can return. You have time for you. And now we can take this clarity that we have and give yourself a little bit of breathing room, and we can start looking at what burnout is actually telling you of what needs to happen next. Okay. So the thing, again, to circle back and remember, is burnout wants something from you. It's asking for realignment. But instead of reacting emotionally, like rage quitting or full career pivots or just shutting down, I want to teach you how to structure further exploration and some lightweight experimentation here. Okay. So first, let's use AI to help with your career alignment. Okay. So I want you to have listed out your values, strengths, and interests. If you don't have this listed out, I want you to take a personality test or an authoring program. Selfauthoring.com, understandmyself.com. 2 phenomenally cheap resources that will give you such valuable insights. I use this in my career coaching practice. Okay. So this is where you can either provide this to AI, either those results, or you can provide it your own in your prompt. And you're essentially going to say, based on the following values, strengths, interests, or personality test, whatever, what are 3 to 5 career directions that might align with who I am today, including emerging or lesser known roles? Okay. Then you're going to follow up that prompt and saying, comparing the roles that you provided me across these categories of daily tasks, energy demands, compensation, future job security, and burnout risk. Provide all those details for each job role you provided me. Right? Then you can now pick whichever one kind of aligns with those 2 with you the most, or maybe a couple of them. And you could say, hey, I'm now looking to transition from old role to new role. What are the transferable skills, projects, metrics, technologies, things that I need to learn and or highlight that I already have on my resume to make a successful pivot into this type of work? Okay. Then we're going to follow up that and say, I want to speak to a mentor or former boss about exploring this new direction without seeming flaky or lost. Can you write a conversation opener and a few reflection-based questions that I could ask them? This requires you to have a mentor. And if you don't, join a community. Link down below is the Career Accelerator Promoted Community, completely free. Join that and get with like-minded professionals who want to achieve and progress and do something furthering their career. Second to last follow-up prompt that I want you to do is going to be an industry scanner. So which industries are showing the strongest growth in blank line of work that aligns with my values, personality test, whatever, over the next 3 to 5 years? And what are the entry points for someone with a background like mine? And then lastly is going to be how you can start to get hands-on. Suggest a few ways that I could test drive new roles without quitting my job to see if they fit my energy and skill set. And this is how it might cause you to network with people or do shadowing programs or things of that nature, or apprenticeship programs, depending on the line of work. Okay. This is where we're trying to develop our plan. We're trying to give you the steps to move to a spot that's more aligned. And maybe it doesn't require this major pivot like that. Maybe at the end of the day, it just requires going to a company that aligns better. Maybe AI comes back and says, hey, I know you are a project manager for the federal government, but you have no issue with the project management work like you've said. It's just the federal government is putting red tape bureaucracy and preventing your autonomy and creativity. You just need to go into a private sector or this growing industry. That's why we run through this exercise, is for you to plan, test, strategize, and then move forward. Okay? So we're going to clarify what you're testing, right? Are you testing a new role? Are you testing a new industry? Are you testing a new work model? Are you testing a new skill identity? Whatever it might be. Build the 90-day experiment. You may not need a new job. You might just need data, right? And this could be offering to shadow somebody. It could be volunteering cross-functionally. It could be freelancing 5 to 10 hours on Upwork or LinkedIn services, right? You could launch a personal project. Maybe you're like, I want to transition to being, an AI operations leader. Okay, build out some AI tools and automation stuff, right? Whatever it might be, do it on your own. Might cost you a few bucks a month, but if these few bucks a month are going to give you back your sanity and your long-term success, isn't that worth it? You can use AI to simulate the job scenarios, right? Act as a technical project manager. Walk me through a sprint retrospective and cross-functional friction. What should I say or do? This is where you can say, here's a job description. I want you to recreate this and walk me through what this person does and what I could expect looking there. Okay? And then after that, of a little bit while, take 4 to 6 weeks to kind of try out your plan and invest. You notice I said try your plan for 4 to 6 weeks. This isn't going to work in a day. Okay? But I want you to then look at and walk away with what gave you energy, what drained you, and do you want to do more of this, right? All of this is data points for the next iteration or next conversation with AI or your brainstorming activity. If there's parts of now your old job and the new test that gave you energy, begin to scope that in. Give that to AI. What drained you, right? You're like, oh, this part sucked, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so maybe project management isn't right, but maybe program management is. Whatever it might be. And then the personal question, do you want to do more? Okay? This is how you begin to iterate and continue to work towards things. And then now, lastly, I want to give you some of my favorite tools to avoid burnout in the future, now that we kind of have an idea of what's going to get you out of it. Okay? First is understanding that systems are better than willpower. Willpower is both inconsistent, but it also is a resource, and it is finite. Okay? Building systems to prevent your burnout are what's going to be key. So I mentioned one earlier, calendar energy blocking. With your saved time, incorporate at least an hour or two a day, give or take. That's going to be woosah. So that when you hit your next 3, 4, 5 hour block of hitting it hard, you are good to go every time. And you don't have that third working block that's noticeably worse than your first working block. Okay? Treat them like meetings. No skipping, no multitasking, no nothing. Okay? Number 2, meditation. Something I'm huge on. Start with 5 minutes after your lunch or before you begin your workday, whatever it might be. I'm a big fan of the Waking Up app. I'm also just a fan of just breathing meditation. You can get many of YouTube videos, things of that nature on this. Okay? Focus on observing your thoughts, not controlling them, but just give yourself woosah time to focus on your breath, relax, and calm down. Okay, third tactic is going to be Pomodoro cycles for work-life balance. This is going to be hard work, no work. Hard work, no work. Default is going to be 25 minutes of focus work, 5-minute break, repeat, repeat, repeat. Okay, you do 4 or 5 cycles, then take a longer 30-minute break. Boom. I use TickTick for this. This is my all-encompassing app. It leads into the next thing I'm going to say, but it does my Pomodoro cycles, it does my organization, my to-dos, etc., and it does my prioritization, which is tactic number 4, the Eisenhower matrix. Okay, to where it will identify for you what is urgent and important, what is urgent, and what is neither. Okay, that is what we're trying to do. And all of your energy should be focused on urgent and important. That's what you are looking towards. If things are urgent but not important, delegate them. If things are important but not urgent, schedule them. Okay? Prioritization is absolutely key, so you could focus on one thing at a time. The last thing I'm going to give you is number 5, is a mental reframe and perspective change, which is going to be the frame of the veteran and the grandfather frame. The frame of the veteran is ask yourself when you're reacting negatively to something. If I was put in this situation 1,000 times, would I be this bothered? If the answer is no, then you can be that 1,000th time not bothered right now. And grandfather frame is going to be, how would my 80-year-old self react to this moment if they were reincarnated in my body right now? And I promise you're going to be grateful to have the struggle and have the opportunity. Okay, let's reiterate those 5 tactics real quick. So, calendar your energy blocks, meditation, Pomodoro cycles, prioritization with the Eisenhower matrix, and using the mindset frames of the veteran frame and the grandfather frame. All right. So I need you to understand burnout is brutal, but it's also brutally honest. If you want additional tactics to go outside of this, I'm going to pop up 2 videos. One that is on stoicism and how that can help your career path, and 12 mindset lies that are continuing to keep you broke, stuck, and burned out. This can dive deeper into both tactics and root causes that I want you to look at here. You're not broken, but we need to rebuild you and put you in a path that is aligned with what you're looking for. Start with my career audit down below. It's AI powered, personalized to you, and will give you further immediate actionable insights today. I mentioned mentors and communities. If you're looking for that, link down below is my school community. Join that. It's completely free. Not only will you get connected with people, but you'll also get weekly resources that I'm releasing constantly. Like, subscribe, hit the thumbs up and notification bell on this channel. And until next time, thank you.